Hello everybody, Cal Banyan here, Cal Banyan's Hypnosis, etc. with Brenda Titus. I tell you what, if you're watching this video anywhere except calbanyan.com, you want to go there right now, because on calbanyan.com we got additional text, links, graphics, and in fact we have complete transcription of the entire podcast for you. So if you have a friend that, they just would rather read it, you can just download it, send it off to them. How's that? We're always coming up with new wonderful things to do. Hey, let me introduce to you Brenda Titus. Brenda Titus is a Hypno 1%er. I've never seen anyone hit a profession with the momentum that she's hit. Giving of her time, her effort, growing herself as a professional, going from her previous profession where she was doing talk therapy, working with women who had experienced some pretty bad experiences, to now doing hypnotherapy. What a wonderful thing. She's got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, so she's all that. She's smart, dedicated, and a definite Hypno 1%er. How you doing, Brenda?
I'm doing great, Cal. I'm happy to be here. And here at the Banyan Hypnosis Center, I love working here. I love being able to help people, working with Cal here, doing 5-path hypnotherapy, really helping people transform their lives and really make the great change that they want to make. And I've said many times, I also incorporate the 7th path self-hypnosis that Cal has brought into the field as well, often use that to really help people then be able to take that home, work with their spiritual selves to really make the change that they want to see. And so I'm very happy to be here and be on the podcast and bring some great topics out to help train people, help have that ongoing conversation. And I'm happy to be here today.
Wow. Hey, as we're talking about this, I'm just like feeling this attitude of gratitude. I'm so excited to just be above ground, which is a pretty cool thing, and to just have all the support I've had over the years from my wife's support from the very beginning, to support of people like you and Celeste and Meredith and the people at the National Guild of Hypnotists who've always been very supportive of what we've been doing. And so, we should just do a podcast, not today, because it's going to take some planning, just about the attitude of gratitude. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'm so on board. I would be happy to do that. That would be wonderful.
All right, make a note of that.
Very, very powerful. Gratitude is so important.
Yeah.
And actually, today, Cal, we're going to talk about age regression. But before I talk to you about this question that I have, as you were mentioning the National Guild of Hypnotists, I believe you are going to be speaking at the NGH Solid Gold soon about age regression. Is that right?
That's right. I am an authority. That sounds so weird to say yourself, but I'm a hypno authority, especially when it comes to age regression, because I've been pounding that drum since even before I came into the profession. It's one of the most important things us hypnotists can master. So what you got for me?
All right. Well, I had a question come from another 5-pather anonymously, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it and get your feedback, because something that sometimes I get challenged with as well. So she says, since the emotions are being stirred up in the age regression session, we know that sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. So she says, my question is, how do we determine from the client's statements after the age regression session how they're about how they're feeling when they come back in, whether we should proceed to phase 3, which is forgiveness, or if we should do more age regression? And that is definitely something, Cal, that I wanted to talk about. How do we know when to move forward, knowing how important those other sessions are, versus go back and do some more age regression?
Okay, well, so that's one of the things that's really important about 5-path is it's criteria based. In other words, you actually know what you're doing all the time and when you should be doing what. Now, with age regression is most frequently about fear, but it could be some other things as well. So when we do the age regression, we're going to get them in contact with the feeling, the emotion that is really causal. The causal component to the problem. Obviously, if it's a fear of heights, it would be fear, but sometimes it could be eating too much, drinking too much, all the too much behaviors, or not performing to the level they should. We put them into the deep level of hypnosis, somnambulism, and we suggest that that feeling that's associated with the problem will begin to come up. And it will come up because they're in somnambulism and that they're in that highly suggestible state. And we then are going to give them, like the time tunnel, we have them go back through that feeling and come out at an earlier time and situation where they felt that way. Now, once that happens, we're going to do the fabulous 5 questions. There's 5 things we must know at every event we visit in an age regression. What's happening? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? How old are you? And is that feeling familiar or new? Once we get what are they feeling and what are they thinking, now we know what the issue is. The age regression will be done when that issue has been resolved. So, if it's fear of heights, then we're going to follow that feeling back to where the fear of heights began. By the way, with these fears and phobia-like situations, we'll find out that there's often a symptom-producing event separate from the ISE. I don't want to get too complicated about that, but just a little insider tip there, and that as we're following it back, the first time they had the fear of heights, if we give them the opportunity to ask them if that feeling inside them, maybe in their chest or wherever it is it familiar or new, we'll find out that that fear pre-existed it being labeled a fear of heights. It could have been just some kind of general anxiety or a fear that's being generated by the thought I'm not good enough and that kind of thing. So we will continue in age regression until we've neutralized, transformed that painful emotion into something positive. Hey, this is interesting because we talked about maybe I'm psychic a little bit here, but when we do this work the very best possible way, we will take that fear or that anger or whatever it is that we're working with in the age regression and actually transform it into gratitude. And when we've either neutralized the emotion, that has everything to do with the cause of the problem, or at our very best level, turned it into gratitude that they've had those experiences and been able to learn from it and transform from it and become stronger because of it or whatever it is, then the age regression is done and we can move on to the next part, which is phase 3. Now, just in 5-path, phase 1 is preparation, testing, and convincing. That's making sure the client is in a state of hopefulness, believes in hypnosis, has no fear of hypnosis, is ready to go in a deep state of hypnosis. We hypnotize them, take them into a deep state of hypnosis, confirm it, convince them that they're hypnosis. That's all phase 1. Phase 2 is age regression. Phase 3 is forgiveness of others. Phase 4 is forgiveness of self. And phase 5, very special kind of parts mediation work that goes after secondary gain issues. So that's how we do it. And each one of those has a criteria for when that work is done. Now the exception is in the too much behaviors. Eating too much, drinking too much, working out too much, working too much, these too much behaviors. Sometimes you may have to regress on more than one emotion. And so the test is you have to have time transpire, at least a couple days between sessions to see if the problem has been completely resolved. For example, if they're doing a eating too much behavior and they're still eating too much, then what we're going to do is you say, don't worry, I know exactly what to do. And you put them back into hypnosis, and then you regress them to that time during the week when they commenced in the old behavior, whatever it was, and ask them what's happening, what are you thinking, what are you feeling, and you don't have to ask them how old they are because it's just a few days ago, and is that feeling familiar or new? And sometimes we'll find that there can be another emotion generating the behavior. For example, they may be eating to distract themselves from anxiety, also known as fear. They may also be eating to distract themselves. Well, let me put this differently. They could have a fear that's being generated by the thought, I'm not good enough. You see, and that makes them feel fearful. They may also have a fear that they have this thought in their mind from earlier on in their life that I live in a dangerous world where I'm likely to be killed at any moment from some ISE in the past. So here's an example where it's fear in both cases, but we took care of the first fear. Then we have to have time happen in between sessions, find out how they're doing. Where if they're doing fine, then we move on to the next phase. If they're having a problem, we regress them to that few days ago when they had the problem. We find out what they're thinking and feeling. If they're thinking and feeling what you had thought you resolved, then you have not finished the age regression work. Or you find out there is another emotion, then you're going to, if it is not anger or guilt, then you're going to continue to do age regression work on that client's issue. Gosh, I hope I'm not getting a little bit... When I'm in a 10-day class, I have time to kind of go over that in much more detail. And one of the challenges with these podcasts is they're like little magazine articles where you kind of you try to stick with just the most necessary, important information to answer a question. Do you need any more on that, you think?
No, I think that is a great way, is to really go back and remember that criteria base and really stop and look at, okay, what is going on? Maybe even for the hypnotist to go back and double check, okay, what was the feeling that you were regressing on? And, and as you're doing your pre-hypnosis interview, meeting with the client before you begin your session, as you're making a decision if you're going to continue forward or not, to really check on where they're sitting with that feeling. Of course, if they're still doing the behavior that they came to work on, then definitely that's a really great reminder about going back and starting there, do some date time age regression, and then bridge back from there as well. Maybe there's a different ISE involved, a different initial sensitizing event, or some other feeling that is feeding that issue. So some great tips there to remind people. And of course, for anybody who is interested, maybe you weren't aware and this wasn't a reminder, this is a great time to go back over our series on 10 keys to age regression back that Cal has done in the past, or come and get trained. Go to the Solid Gold Weekend. Cal's going to be talking about age regression, or maybe if you're ready to take your practice to the next level, learn from an excellent age regression hypnotherapist, and that is Cal Banyan. He has some excellent techniques and excellent things to do once you've gotten where you need to go to really help your client. So I'm glad that we were able to have this topic today. Thank you, Cal.
Hey, I'm always ready to talk about age regression. I think that the age regression is catching on like never before. It's been around for a long time, but people are really starting to understand that it's one of the most powerful techniques available, and that if you're going to do it, you need to do it well. And you need to find somebody who's truly an authority on age regression, and whoever that is in your mind, and study them. Watch their videos of doing actual work. I mean, that was really important for you, right, Brenda?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And the healing that I see from people once we get, to that initial sensitizing event, and the wisdom that they are able to bring to the table, it's just incredible. It just changes everything for them. So I love it.
Cool. All right, how we doing on time?
It's time to close it up.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to throw one minute thing in here. I was reading a news article the other day about, there was this train crash. And I don't know a lot about the train crash. What caught my eye was they were blaming hypnosis for it. And then recently, today or yesterday, I read an article that the judge has decided it wasn't the fault of hypnosis. Okay, I'm going to say something that I think is going to irritate a lot of people, and you know what? If the truth irritates you, you need to look at yourself. And here's the deal. There's a predominant belief that there is a thing called highway hypnosis. And first of all, there is no evidence at all that there's such a thing as highway hypnosis. None. If you got proof, send it to me. Put a comment down below, because let's look at this word hypnosis. Hypnosis is a heightened state of suggestibility. And there's only one way in the world that you can establish if someone is in a heightened state of suggestibility, and that is depth testing for different states of suggestibility. Now, what we have here is this kind of non-professional viewpoint that there's a thing called highway hypnosis. And that is, you see someone staring off into the distance and they miss their exit or something like that, or time flies and that kind of stuff. And they say, oh, you were in hypnosis. No, what you were was in a state of focused attention, which is part of hypnosis, but it is not hypnosis. It's a component of hypnosis. So we could better call that thing that is called highway hypnosis kind of a highway trance, which is like this hyper-focusedness to the exclusion of everything else, which is a component of hypnosis, but not hypnosis. So what they were saying is this person who was operating the train was in hypnosis. Well, first of all, that they're saying it's like highway hypnosis, and there's no such thing as highway hypnosis. There's highway trance. And what they're talking about is being focused on one thing to the exclusion of other things. So that accident could not have been caused by highway hypnosis, because highway hypnosis does not exist. And the only way you could ever determine, I don't know how this judge determined that it wasn't hypnosis, the only way that you can determine if someone's in hypnosis is by depth testing. And no one was there to depth test them. Just, it's kind of an ignorant thing that goes on in our society, and we as professionals need to know the difference. Okay, that's it, Brenda. I'm done. Wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Leave your comments, leave your questions. I will be back after a few weeks for more. So I always love to hear your input, and I'm always thinking a couple of weeks in advance about what all we'll be talking about when I'm back on next. So I thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Cal, for the opportunity to be here. That gratitude again. I'm very happy. Oh, God. I do that. I'm so happy. I'm about to start crying. Thank you, Cal. I'm very happy to have you in my life, and I'm happy to be here. I will see you guys all in a few weeks. Thanks.
Oh boy, that's almost more happiness than I can stand. Hey, if you guys want to find out when each and every podcast comes out, be notified, please, up there somewhere on this website is become a VIP member. And what that does is you just get our newsletter every week. You can stop at any time if you change your mind, and become a VIP, and always be in the know when the new podcasts come out. And also join us on Facebook.com/Hypnosis ETC. Just do a search on Facebook for Hypnosis ETC. ET stands for etc. Okay, before I get all choked up here, I'm signing out. Cal Banyan, signing out.
This recording is the property of Cal Banyan and the Banyan Hypnosis Center for Training and Services, Incorporated. All rights reserved, for private use only, may not be duplicated without permission. For contact information, go to www.hypnosiscenter.com.